Hi, this is Terra Ball Z. I'm really excited about this. It's so cute. This is a Majors Only deck created by Push Kitty. It's got 22 cards in it. Fan parody deck inspired by the best anime series of all time, Dragon Ball Z. Short story, I picked up this deck because I, as an adult, just started watching Dragon Ball Z, and it's probably the best TV show that's ever existed in all of mankind. I'm obsessed with it. Anyway, gonna get right into it. So, before I do, I will set the expectation that this is a 1 of 500. It's a limited print because the creator, the communication I had with them is that basically, if they can sell all of these, then they will make a full deck. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a whole lot of fanfare around this deck, which makes me very sad because we deserve a Dragon Ball Z Tarot. Come on. So, cardstock, it's great. The back, super cute. It is reversible. It does have a maroon edging. Y'all know I love my edging, and the fact that it fits super well, like, that's a really intelligent move. It feels almost done manually. Could very well, as I did notice inside the box, might be a little hard to see, but inside the box itself, there's actually a little bit of ink kind of transfer there. Either way. So, there is the website and the Instagram that you can go to for this deck. And we're just going to get right into the flip through, and then I'm going to go over the card quality. So that right there is kind of giving you a bit of a preview of the full deck. From what I understand, the communication I've had with the creator is that the full deck is completed. It's already illustrated. The problem is that they need to sell out all of these to be able to finance the full deck. And unfortunately, this is not getting the attention that they expected, which breaks my heart a little bit because it's cute. It's killing me, honestly. It's a fantastic deck. And again, they only made 500 of these, and then once they sell out, they will consider making the full deck. They were just very much so expecting this to get a lot more fanfare. So what's going on right now is that the deck is $29 American. When I purchased it, it was on sale for $19. It might still be on sale. They might be trying to liquidate this. Now, when it comes to fan decks like this, what I always find fascinating is that for whatever reason, when they're available to be sold, nobody's interested in them. They're impossible to basically move. However, the second they sell out and people start talking about them, that's when it kind of blows up in the collector's market. So an example I have here is the Binding of Isaac Tarot. This is the second edition, the second printing. From what I understand, they're not going to make any more. They're just like, yep, that's the final printing, that's it. This I can't find online. Like, when I say I can't find online, I mean, like, I can't find it on seller sites, I can't find it on eBay or anything of the sort. That right there puts this deck in a situation that I could throw it up online for $500 and it'll go. No questions asked. So collector's market wise, these types of decks have so much value because, again, there's a lack of interest when they're available, and then there's a massive amount of interest when they're not. It might take a few years, but once it's out there, they blow up. So if you're a collecting nerd, this is a deck to look at for resale later, or just to have in your collection. Now, for anybody who's practical use, why would you want to have a majors only deck? That's the real question. So I can think of 3 reasons off the top of my head. The first reason is something that I go over in my podcast with Owen O'Kalloch, which is pop culture connections. Right now we're going through the major arcana as characters, while when we get to the minor arcana, that's going to be pop culture situations or like scenes and such, actions. So when it comes to the major arcana, they more often kind of manifest in characters itself. So if you are a fan of this franchise, you're actually going to really end up anchoring these characters to these tarot cards, which is going to help your practice. So especially if you're more in your beginning part of your practice and you're not actively making those connections when you're watching media, this is going to help you. It's definitely, like, these characters do fit the archetypes. Like, listen, it's Goku as a fool. Like, come on. So you are going to see these story beats, these characters in this major arcana, which is going to help your practice. Like, you wouldn't think that this would help your practice. It does. Secondly, if you are a practitioner of any particular arts, I'm just going to say spell work, because that's what's pretty big right now, and especially on social media. For whatever reason, crystals are king when it comes to charging and manifesting and pulling energy from. Tarot cards do the exact same thing. And I get a lot of questions about it, like, how do you do spell work with tarot cards? Same way as you do with crystal, except for you don't stick it in water, or don't stick crystals in water, please. But you don't stick the tarot card in a bottle or something of the sort, at least not a full-size one. But what you would do is that you would get a tarot stand and you would use that with your spell work. You would prop it up someplace and then kind of use that energy to pull from, charge into, etc. So there's a lot of opportunity there when it comes to using tarot for spell work. In most cases, when you're doing spell work with tarot, you're using the major arcana. So if you take the piss out of your spell work, which honestly you should, like, when it comes to pagan spell work, it's not like church. You can kind of, whatever works for you. So the fact that you can actually just use a fan parody tarot deck to do your spell work is 100% legitimate. If anything, it almost makes it more personal to you. I've already used this deck for spell work. I love it because it's absurd, and absurdity to a certain extent really kind of takes the anxiety out of doing certain workings. So I really enjoy using this deck for spell work. Third reason, if you are going to be using this for divining, if you're going to be using this as a actual tarot deck to get messages or whatever you use your tarot for, there's a lot of cases where you just want to use majors. Especially if you really want to you're not really asking for advice, but you're more or less really kind of getting to the root of things. You're doing one card pulls and such. A majors only deck is going to be honestly, some of your best bets, because it really depends on your reading style. But a deck with minor arcana in it is going to really kind of give you more instruction. Well, this is going to give you more insight, especially if majors come up, or it's going to tell you, like, hey, this is the surrounding energy of the situation. There's a lot of spreads that only use majors. There is a book that unfortunately is not on my shelf. It's probably in the other room. It's 1001 Tarot Spreads by Cassandra Eaton, I think it is. One sec. Cassandra Easton. No, Easton? I can't pronounce the name. Sorry, full stupid. There is a lot of tarot spreads in that book that just use majors. It's a legitimate practice. It's a legitimate thing. There's no reason to scoff at a majors only deck, especially at one at this price. That's probably going to increase in collector's value over time. Again, they're only making 500 of this, and if it takes too long to sell out of these, they're not going to bother with the whole 78 cards, I wouldn't think. At least that's the impression I got. But either way, I'm really excited for this deck. I love fan decks like this. I think it's one of those things that people kind of take tarot a little too seriously. And when there is a properly done fan deck, the Pokebox is a good example of that as well. It's just fun, and tarot is allowed to be fun. I have a lot of decks that I use that are very, very serious, and it's probably some of my major working decks, or decks where it's a serious situation. But if you're just having fun, you're allowed to have fun with tarot. And this is a fun deck. Listen, even if you're not into tarot and you just love Dragon Ball Z, this is a great gift. It's really fun. And then I know that this might be an opportunity if you have somebody in your life that really likes things like this, because for example, my spouse and I, when I brought this in, he went all through it, and it's funny because he started connecting things to tarot at that point. He's just like, okay, yeah, that would make sense that Frieza's a devil, and he has no interest in tarot. He knows nothing about it, and he still makes references as we're watching Dragon Ball now that Goku's the fool. And it's funny, again, he knows nothing about this, but he's making those connections now. And if you know somebody in your life that is a Dragon Ball fan, it's a cute gift. I'm just saying. Alright, and I think that's overall, those are my thoughts.